It's always NFL time. And I think the most interesting thing that's been going on is no longer talking about Shedeur. We've all out-talked that whole thing. But it's interesting to me because there's another issue going on. Abdul Carter, the outside linebacker / defensive end, came from Penn State, very high pick. They got big trades going on and everything. He went to the New York Giants. He says, you know what? I'd like to wear Lawrence Taylor's jersey. Well, the first thought I had was, whoa, cowboy. His jersey's retired. This is the greatest player, outside linebacker, to ever put on a helmet, for crying out loud. And you know what? Once your jersey's retired, isn't it supposed to stay retired? Anyway, the whole thing has been confusing to me because it happened again, John, because he goes, well, all right, I guess I get it. I'm a little bit frustrated, but I get it. So you know what? I want Phil Simms' number. His is also retired, but I want number 11. Phil Simms said, I don't think so. So I wanted to throw out to you the idea that something's retired. Am I confused about this? I don't think I am, but that means that no one ever wears it again for that team, right? Because this guy was special. This guy, did something, and Lawrence Taylor particularly, let's be honest. I mean, there's a reason left tackles get paid the kind of money they get paid. It's because of Lawrence Taylor. I've gone as far as to say each one of those guys should probably give 10% of their contract to Lawrence Taylor throughout the rest of their career, because they're getting paid because of him. So it's just one of the craziest things I've seen, John, but I wanted to run it past you and see if am I wrong? If it's retired, shouldn't it be retired?
Yes, it should. And is he wrong to ask for it? Depending how he asked, because, you and I didn't hear it.
Right.
But if he would have said, hey, man, I'd really like to honor you by wearing your number because you're the greatest to ever play and all that? Or did he just say, hey, I'd really like to wear 56? Pete's right, though. This guy is a legend. He is the guy The Blind Side is about. Some people think, oh, it's about that guy, the big kid who was homeless and all that. No. The reason that big homeless kid got drafted so high by the Ravens and made, tens of millions of dollars through his career was because Lawrence Taylor broke Joe Theismann's leg.
Yep.
Coming from the blind side.
Yep.
So when you've got stones enough to ask a Hall of Fame linebacker for his number that's been retired, that's pretty bold. Now, I'm not saying it's as, dumb as the Shedeur interviews were, Pete, because those were pretty dumb.
Yeah.
But I don't think this was very well thought out by him and his team.
Right.
If he wanted to, he could do, like what Jordan did when he came back. His number was hanging from the rafters, and it was his number.
Right.
So what did he do? He picked 45, and he wore 45 until one day when he said, hey, I really need my old jersey back. I need the old Magic. And then he got it. But I think he could go for 65, Pete, instead of 56. In other words, reverse it or do whatever. Mm-hmm. But they should not unretire a number, in my opinion.
Once it's retired, man. They retired it for a reason. I totally agree with you. It's kind of nuts. I don't know if you got a chance to see this, but my second one today, John, is about Scotty Scheffler. Did you get a chance to see what this guy did this past weekend? Absolutely unbelievable. He finished 31 under par, and he closed out with a 63. The guy had nearly a flawless round, and 72 holes, he scored a record there. He tied the PGA record. I don't know. It's unbelievable what these guys are able to do, how they're able to control things. And it's one of those things, because we all know that there's a point in time where you lose a little focus, right? And whatever. This guy didn't lose any focus at all. He was just going through it. And every time I looked, John, his score just kept getting further and further away from the guy in second place and third place and fourth place. It was an unbelievable thing. And I'll tell you what, golf, I think, has gotten far more intriguing than it was. Now, we had to go through that whole thing where there was no Tiger Woods out there. But I think that there's a lot of players now that are really, really special. And I think, Scheffler's one of them. By the way, he started off the season really poorly. He was not playing great golf. And now all of a sudden he's playing great golf with a bunch of other guys who are playing great golf. Golf has become pretty daggone fun to watch, man. These guys, what they can do and how they do it is absolutely incredible.
Pete, how'd you like to be Jordan Spieth? Because he had 2 rounds under 70, which obviously is under par. Virtually everywhere in the world, par is somewhere between 71 and 73 on a course. And he had 2 rounds under 70 and lost by 12.
I mean,
well, yeah. Well, and think about this. Scheffler's out there, Pete, and he shoots a 61 on his first part of this. And then he shoots a 63, and then he really falls out of bed and, hits a 66.
Unreal.
I mean, yeah, when you're that good, you're basically just, a legend that should be recognized. And obviously he and his caddy are banking some pretty good money because, as most of you know, the caddies on the big wins like this get a pretty significant portion of the purse. And I'm sure Scheffler and his caddy are more or less partners for life after this, Pete, because somebody's clubbing that dude pretty damn well.
Yeah. It's fun listening to them talk, and they get you closer and closer to golf all the time. All these guys got microphones, a little headphones in, and do these little chats and everything. They've really figured out a lot of good things in golf to really make it that much more interesting, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I loved about it at the Masters, Pete, because, unlike some sports, even though baseball now has that pitch clock and so forth, and basketball has the shot clock, in golf, you see one guy hit, and then 5 seconds later, there's another guy on a different hole that's teeing off, and then they go to some guy who's putting on a green, 3 holes over, blah, blah, blah. So it's like bang, bang, bang. Understand what fans want, rather than, back in the old days, Garcia Parra or whatever with the, he had to put the gloves on twice, take a couple cuts, and all that kind of stuff when he was with the Red Sox. It used to be like 2 minutes every single pitch because the guy'd have to, like I say, tighten up the straps on the gloves and step back and so forth.
Brutal.
And the fans are just sitting there going, God, this is terrible. Well, it was a pretty incredible weekend for hockey, Pete. And I know you're a big hockey fan. You played it a lot longer than I did, but it's, I think, becoming a real competitor to basketball in terms of fandom, Pete, because the games are exciting. They don't do load management, meaning the stars don't just sit down and not play. They play every night that they're out there. And in some cases, of course, the games get pretty rough. But there was a great game between the, what is it, Pete, though? The Winnipeg, and the St. Louis Blues. And we thought we'd show you that one because this was a heck of a game. And watch this, which was just with 10 seconds left, Pete, 10 seconds, amazing. Or as Grant would do, 10x, 10 seconds, watch what happens.
It was Thomas as Velarde desperate to get it. Under 10 seconds to go. The Jets with an opportunity. Ehlers misfires, passes across the shot.
It's amazing the control and the ability. The guy standing right there, John, puts the stick out and slaps it right in there. Unreal. Too bad for St. Louis because they were great fighters. They had a great season. St. Louis is one of these places, John, where every once in a while they just put it all together. They won the Stanley Cup not that long ago. As a matter of fact, a couple of Minnesotans were on that team, so I've actually seen the Stanley Cup. It's pretty amazing. But wow, that was pretty good. And you know what? Let's be honest. Winnipeg's been great all year. These guys have been absolutely dominant. So the fact that they were doing that going into the last 10 seconds, it's not that shocking. Those guys are great.
Yeah, I bet Brett Hull, Pete, was like, just when he was watching that because he was a great one for them for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.